All right, so welcome to MILF Ministry.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. So we're gonna do like we always do. I like to introduce the guests first because you guys know me already. That's boring. All right, so today we have Jaleel Gilmore, and I'll let you introduce yourself how you want the world to know you.
Okay, cool. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me.
Yes.
My name is Jaleel Azim Gilmore. I'm a California certified massage therapist. I've been practicing for 11 years. I am also a stretch therapist. I've been practicing for 9 years. I'm also a Reiki practitioner. I've been practicing for 5 years. And I'm also an astrologer. I've been practicing all my life. And so as far as some of those things that I go into.
No, we'll just start with the intro.
Okay,
so cool. Yeah. So Jaleel, let me get the emphasis properly.
Right.
Massage therapist, Reiki, astrology.
Mm-hmm.
Many more things outside of that, but those are the anchors that we're talking about today. Right. And I'm Ayodele. I go by, like I said, the motivational MILF / professional alchemist. And I'm very happy to have you here today because we're going to talk about the importance of rest. And since my platform is dedicated to women first, specifically Black women, this is just like such a timely thing. So I'll break the ice by starting with my introduction to Jaleel. I was referred to you by my good friend Tony after I had basically a sciatica injury where I couldn't walk properly for like 3 weeks. And I don't remember. I think I had to come to your Gardena office or something like that. And I'm like, oh, it's kind of far, the ride. And Tony was like, I don't give a damn what you got to do. You need to get to Jaleel. Like, you need to go see him specifically. Because of my relationship with Tony, I was humble because I was like, I could just go to massage therapy. He was like, no. No. I was like, okay. So I go to Jaleel, and that was literally the first time, I feel like in my life, but specifically after that injury, where I felt the blood circulating through my body properly after that injury. So I'll never forget that first massage because I was in excruciating pain, couldn't walk properly, couldn't dance, couldn't do so many things that I loved. And going to see you, I was like, oh, this was powerful in terms of just like someone that understands the body and can get the blood flowing, because a massage is not just for aesthetics. This is a part of your actual wellness, a part of your healing. And I've been a client ever since. And so I guess, do you want to talk about how you got into massage therapy? That's a good place to start? Or
Yeah, that's a great place to start.
So tell us, how did you discover this talent?
Okay, so how I got into massage therapy, I really didn't have any type of interest in my background prior to massage therapy. I worked with at-risk youth. So I worked with probation youth, homeless youth, Department of Children and Family Service youth, and I did that work for 22 years. There came a time within that work where, and I won't go into too much detail with that, but I was terminated. California is an at-will state. So know that they can terminate you for anything in California. We're an at-will state. You sign that at-will paperwork, at will they can get rid of you. So at will, they got rid of me right before I got to my 10th year.
Oh, yeah. What does that mean? This is like a random
question. As far as your PTO, vacation, all that, it was a company where it raises tremendously at your 10th year. So a lot of people got let go right before their 10th year. So I was just about to hit my 10th year, and they let me go. And it's probably some other things too. Mm-hmm. But at that point, I had been in this field for 22 years. I worked with that company for 10, but I've been in the field for 22 years. And I was doing social services. I'm a Capricorn, so I'm always doing a lot of business stuff. Also, I had a production crew. We do parties, that kind of thing. And I was into music. management, used to rap, write, poetry, all that kind of stuff.
Which I want to talk about as well. You didn't mention it, but since you brought it up.
All right. So, long story short, I was terminated. I was depressed. I was trying to figure out what I was going to do. And they had I've been kind of thinking about getting deeper into entrepreneurship. And actually, before I was terminated, I was reading a magazine article, and it was talking about the spa industry. And it talked about the spa industry making X billions of dollars a year. So in reading that, I was like, wow, billions? The spa industry? Like, how can I get in on that? So my antennas were up about the spa industry before I got fired. And I was looking at all the different avenues within the spa industry, and massage caught my attention. I had never got a massage in my life. Yeah, I never got a massage in my life. Mom would always say, hey, you need to go get a massage and relax. I'm like, I don't want to get naked for them people. I'm not doing that, So never got a massage in my life. So after the termination, somehow I ended up going to get a massage at a local massage school where you can get them for free. You go in, sign up, and the student will work on you. Okay. Well, I was fortunate enough to have the instructor worked on me.
Good for you.
And so he worked on me, a brother, and the school was in Hancock Park. So the students were Asian and Russian.
Okay.
And he worked on me and was working on my back. I fell asleep, middle of the class, out of there. So as he's working on me, he's talking about the different muscle groups. And I'm like, how does a massage therapist know all this about muscles, And I just dozed off. Felt great, amazing. So when I woke up, it was like, yo, everybody needs this.
Absolutely.
It was just a total experience. I was like, wow. So after I finished up the massage and he finished up the class, I went in and had a convo with him and talked to him about it. And I was like, yo, I think I need to get into this.
So it was instant. You didn't dilly-dally. You didn't sit around and think about it for days after that class.
It was instant right then that I felt in my head, I need to figure out how to get into a massage school. I liked his vibe and how he talked because all he talked about to them was entrepreneurship. He didn't talk about going to work for anybody.
He hit two goalposts for you. Okay,
the
entrepreneurship and the spa industry,
and that rolled right with what I was all about. So I was trying to figure out, okay, how am I gonna? Let me figure out. And so when I worked in social services, I would put a lot of young adults into training programs.
A
lot of training programs. So I said, I wonder, could one of these training programs work for me? So at that time, Los Angeles had a retraining program that a lot of people didn't take advantage of. So if you found a trade program that was under $20,000 and under 9 months, they would totally pay for you to go, pay for the school, just take care of it. And so they make you jump through some hoops. You get there early. And you go to a work source early, have to do a resume, mock interview. You gotta be there at 7 a.m. though. So a lot of people don't want to jump through that hoop. I jumped through every single hoop and I paid for all of my massage therapy school. Everything.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's how I got into massage. That was the whole thing even brought me around to massage. So I didn't ever, prior to that, even think about ever becoming a massage therapist. But my thing was to become a massage therapist and start my own business.
Okay.
Yeah. So
entrepreneurship was always a goal. That's interesting. Never just I'm going to be posted up inside of massage envy or somewhere like that. Okay.
And I did go post up and have to work into massage envies. And because as soon as I got my license, I immediately went and got workspace and began trying to get clients. And I was very unsuccessful. I failed, couldn't pay my rent, talked to some people and people were like, yeah, you need to go work for somebody for a while to really see how it goes. So yeah.
Can you talk about, so the teacher talked about entrepreneurship. Did he give business tips though of how to get clientele?
All the time.
Did he encourage you to get an office right away?
He didn't encourage that, but I was going to do it anyway.
Okay. I'm just curious because I feel like I have been so anti-entrepreneurship. That is part of the reason why this podcast has been delayed and taken so long to happen.
Right.
Because I'm a big advocate of like, I need money for bills, I need money for fun, I need money for investments. Then I can think about business.
Right.
So it's interesting to hear you say like, no, I was literally about my business immediately.
Right. Now, when I say that, also, I had other things going on to have money coming in. Also.
Okay.
Yeah. So I still.
You didn't just dive in. Okay, that's a good perspective.
So when I was turned from that place, I went and worked like part time at another a youth probation facility, part time. They were flexible with my hours and that type of stuff. So while I did that, I went and found an office and started passing out flyers and all that kind of stuff to kind of promote myself and attempt to get some clientele. But it was rough.
Okay. So before we get into how good you are and like the clientele that you have now, talk about like what it took for you to be committed. Because people have been telling me now that entrepreneurship is very spiritual. Like you literally have to believe in yourself when nobody is believing in you. And so you're saying that you hit a few bumps when you started. Like
I hit a lot of bumps. I hit so many. I still hit bumps.
Right.
I still hit bumps. Really. I think a few things. The first thing about it, I think, is I always had an entrepreneurial spirit.
Okay, that helps.
Always,
yeah.
And I never even knew that's what it was called, but I always was the guy selling something in school. You know what I'm saying? Not anything illegal, you guys. I didn't sell drugs or cocaine, not anything illegal. I was the taco man before Taco Man.
Okay.
I'm 50, so I'm much older than him. But when I was in high school, junior high school, I would make tacos and bring them to school and sell them. Ground turkey tacos, avocado, hooking it up. And
how did that work? Because now I'm curious. So you would cook them at home.
Yeah.
You had to keep them warm some kind of way.
I would just wrap them up in a foil. I was young, so as long as people were buying them, I didn't have any issue, and I was doing real good with the tacos.
Okay.
But I learned my first business lesson. One of my good friends saw what I was doing, and he started making tacos, and he undercut my tacos tremendously. And he just made them basic because for one, I had ground turkey. People wouldn't even really eat ground turkey back then. I had avocados,
Come on
so
now.
I was charging for this. I had sour cream, I had all this stuff.
You had the topping.
His was just meat and cheese.
Oh, okay.
And he sold them for 99 cents.
Ooh.
So all of my customers went to him. He cut off everything. And that was one of my first serious business lessons.
Learned that young.
I was like, I couldn't be mad because this was my homeboy. But as far as the knocks and the bruises of entrepreneurship, like I said, I always had an entrepreneurial spirit. So I was selling stuff. Prior to massage, I had a party production crew. So I always felt like one of the main things was just getting the word out, the marketing.
For sure.
So for me, with the massage, when I was in massage school, every day, you have to work on 3 people in your lab. So you do your book work, and then you work on 3 people. At the same time, I'm trying to figure out, how am I going to get people to know about me? How am I going to get people to know about me? So what I did was, this is when Instagram was due. I made an Instagram page about massage.
Okay.
Told my instructor, he said, that's not going to work. I said, why? He said, massage is too intimate for you to be promoting it on social media. Mind you, social media Instagram was new at this time.
Okay, right.
So that's why he didn't know it was going to go where it was going. Really, I seen no other massage therapists on social media. I feel like I was the first massage therapist on social media, but maybe I wasn't. I don't know. Maybe I put too much on it. But I started getting people coming to the school to get massages, paying me. And he was like, you got paying people already. So they were paying me at the school. They weren't supposed to, but they were on the square.
Okay. Tipping you or paying?
They were tipping. They were tipping.
Okay.
Yeah, they were tipping, but they were really paying for the massage. But they were really tipping. That's what it was. And so that's kind of how I really felt comfortable, felt confident, and pushing myself. I'm like, okay, people like this. This is cool. This is cool. So it just really made me want to push harder. Just the numbers down.
But when did you know you were good? I keep using my air quotes because yes, it's a numbers game, but you also have to deliver. Like that's how you get people to come back. So there's a difference.
Right, you're right about that. I don't know, really. I don't know. I was just confident that people were coming. I think when you take your time with things and you care about things, it's no way that you can't become good at it. I took my time in what I was doing. I enjoyed what I was doing. I said, I really enjoyed this.
Okay.
You know, it was very relaxing for me. And I felt a real good energy with it that I had never felt before with something. So if I'm
not even with music or party promotion,
it was different. It was different. I love music and all that kind of stuff. And the party promotion, it wasn't a thing of like loving it. It was kind of like fun. You get popular because you're out there. You know, it hits different parts of your ego. Okay. But this was more so, it wasn't an ego thing. It was like, this really feels good. Like it's hitting a part of my spirit that's never been touched before. So with that, it's like, okay, I have no choice but to get better in this. Right. You know, and anything that you do continuously. So I'm massaging every day. And I understand that, you know, they call it man hours. I know this is a woman's network. They call it man hours when you do something a lot of times to become a master. So my goal was to do as many massages as I could at a discounted rate. Okay, $20 for an hour massage. You know, that was unheard of. But I know that I'm getting this practice. Right. And every person who I touch has a completely different body, different
for
energy.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right, for sure.
Yeah.
In music, they talk about your 10,000, or in entertainment period, they talk about your 10,000 hours. So you put in your 10,000 hours. Okay, right. Okay, good to know. Good to know. So speaking about energy, what made you decide, or I guess let me backtrack, because the first thing that came to my mind is when you talked about like you were actually enjoying it. My dad describes that as kind of like a spiritual purpose, like your spirit letting you know like this is a part of your calling. Like you said, you may not know how it's going to manifest, but when you have that kind of experience of like, I just for free, I just genuinely enjoy this. For me, it's usually music, and then in 2024, I discovered comedy. Like, because I've always been a fan of it, but like working and producing a show and seeing people come and laugh and have a good time, and I was like, I really, really, really enjoyed this. And was just describing to my dad how I felt after the first big show I worked on, and he was like, yeah, it's like your spirit is talking to you. You should pay attention. So, I guess talk to me about how the Reiki and the astrology come into play, because that's something that I think makes you unique. Like I can be out somewhere and people always talk about you in such a positive light. But as soon as someone says my massage therapist and he's amazing and he knows astrology, I'm like, you talking about Jaleel? Like I just already know. So I've run into your clients multiple times where I'm just like, yeah, I love my therapist. They're like, yeah, I love mine too. But like we automatically know who you are. So talk to me about like even feeling comfortable to let your clients know that you have all of these gifts and services that you offer.
Okay, so I'll lead with the Reiki part. Okay. The Reiki, I didn't even know what Reiki was. You know, sometimes we learn about ourselves through people who we interact with.
That makes sense.
Relationships teach us so much about ourselves. So you begin to meet so many different people when you work in the service industry all day. You know, I'm working on different people, and you listen to what people say, you watch people's reaction, and you know, positive reaction. You look how many negative reactions you get. Okay, I'm not getting any negative reactions. And then you look at what people are saying consistently. So if people were saying consistently or asking me, let's say I would do a chair massage event. You know, people are totally closed, they're in chairs, it's at a corporation, you know, some type of multimedia corporation, mainly Asians, and I'm working on them when I'm working. And a lot of them didn't speak English. They say, Reiki? You know Reiki? And I'm like, Reiki? Why did they ask me Reiki? And they would ask me about Tai Chi. Tai Chi? You know Tai Chi? And I would start hearing that a lot. So I heard that from them. They didn't really even speak English well. Then different clients would always ask me, you do Reiki also? Or they would say, you do Reiki also. Sometimes they ask them, they say, hey, you do Reiki, right? No. So after you hear this about the 10th time, it's like, okay, I need to go investigate what this Reiki is.
Makes sense.
And, some clients were continuous clients, redundant clients, and I would talk to them like, why did you ask me that? And they say stuff like, because your hands get hot. If my hands get hot, really? I can't feel it, And my mother used to say that all the time also. When I first was in school and I would work on her. She's like, your hands are hot. Oh my God, why are your hands so hot? I'm like, Mom, I don't feel nothing, and I'm like, you just tripping, Mom. You getting a little older. You getting a little older. That's that woman thing, But this was something I continued to hear. So it made me go investigate Reiki, learn about Reiki, have an interest in Reiki, and eventually pursuing going to become a Reiki practitioner, going through the whole process to become a Reiki practitioner. So right now I'm a level 2 Reiki practitioner. I plan on becoming a Reiki master, but that's going to take more years and more bodies, working on more people. So that's the goal. And question?
Well, no, I was gonna say something, but when you finish, so my experience with you, I don't feel like it's been a heat experience personally. Personally, my experience is just I literally feel like you're working on my energy, not in an intentional way. Like maybe you're just taking deep breaths, or you're about to start the massage, or you're wrapping up the massage or something. But like I feel different energetically, but it's not because you're massaging a certain area. So that's why I asked you, like, oh, are you? Or I don't even know if I asked you, or maybe you said it or whatever. But I do feel like there are times where, like you said, it's literally flowing through you. It's not you're not intentionally doing it in the session. And then that kind of makes sense to why some of your clientele will be coming back just for the experience of like, yes, I had a good massage, but just energetically, they feel different from being in your presence. So
I definitely heard that quite a bit.
Okay, so that makes sense too. Like people just saying, I feel better.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
And I want to talk about that a little bit because living in Los Angeles, one of the things that kind of is hard for me is feeling like I can tell like people are just cooking or doing hair or whatever for money. And there's nothing wrong with it, but I shouldn't feel that. You know what I'm saying? Like I shouldn't come in your chair and just feel like if you're doing someone's hair, it's just like doing a massage. It's an intimate thing. So you may have a client that has lots of questions, or you may have someone that's quiet. It's a part of your job to kind of tap in, like, oh, they usually talk a lot. They're not talking today. Okay. Or they're talking, and it seems like they want to keep talking. Let me engage a little bit, like, because you could also someone could be talking and then you're just cold, and they're like, dang, that person. I was trying to, so it's kind of like you have to read the energy of everyone that comes on your table.
And everybody's different. You get a client that don't say nothing, and then the next one is want to talk the whole 90 minutes.
And both had a great time.
Both had a great time. Both had a great time.
So I feel like that's the one thing that I think is missing in the city in terms of just like, I'll go to play. First of all, I don't want to trash LA, but I will in terms of the food. Whether it's soul food or Jamaican food specifically, I cannot speak for all food. I get pissed off all the time because most of the time, if I'm in a different city, New York, Miami, Atlanta, if I'm buying some Jamaican food or I'm buying some African food, it is going to taste better or as good as what I can prepare. Because I'm paying you for the convenience. I don't feel like cooking today. But there are countless days when I cook food or buy food and it's just like, I should just went and got some McDonald's or something. Which that's not how I'm buying African food. I'm buying this on purpose. And I feel the same thing about, once again, getting your hair done or getting a massage. I have gotten lots of massages from Massage Envy, Thai massage. You go on vacation, you get a massage. But now that I get massages from you, it's kind of like, because very few people, I mean, like literally, I came back from Mexico and I told you, I was like, this lady was good at the resort. Like, I had a good massage. She did a good job. But like, my level of expectation when I get a massage now is so much different because I try to be consistent as much as I can. And I just, there's a different level of service you provide. So it's good for repeat customers.
I appreciate that.
But I think sometimes if people don't know the difference, that's kind of like, well, why am I going here?
That's why I like new clients too. I love new clients because I get to set the bar. You know? And I'm not upset when people go other places or whatever. And most of the time, people tell me, you know, ask how the experience. You know, I always hope that they have a good experience. Where I never hope somebody had a bad experience, but most of the time they're like, I cheated on you, John.
That's what I was gonna joke and say. Right, it's like,
I cheated on you. I'm like, oh really? I wasn't. Well, you're back with me right here. Well, how was it? Tell me all about it. Oh my, I've heard so many stories. Oh my goodness, I don't even know if I can repeat some of them. But yeah, I've heard a lot of stories, and people be all over the place. But I definitely always want to encourage body work, self-care. I just met a woman last week at this event at the Hilton. And she was walking by the table. We were doing chair massages, and she was like, I said, hey, ma'am, how you doing? She was like, oh, no, I don't want a massage. I don't need nobody touching on me. I don't want no massage. I said, ma'am, you don't have to get a massage. I actually wanted to introduce myself because a lot of people here, most of the people are from all over. It was like a big conference. Those people from Atlanta, Kentucky. I just want to introduce myself and talk about wellness, not specifically massage. So she stood there for a while, and I talked to her about overall wellness, health, body work, self-care, that type of stuff. And she ended up being from Kentucky. And I said, well, when you get back there, if you don't want to get a massage, look into getting active pressure. You don't have to take your clothes off. It's going to help with your blood flow and circulation. You know, a lot of us, as we're getting older, our blood pressure gets higher. This is going to help with that. So she didn't know anything about that. So I was telling her about that kind of stuff we're talking about. And she's like, oh, wow, that's interesting, you know. And then we're talking about sports, and she's talking about her son, and he shot puts, and I was asking about his arms and all this. He needs some body work.
Of course he does. Yeah.
So, you know, it's not always about like me trying to get you to come to me. It's about the education and teaching people the importance of body work because of our trauma that we've had as Black folks, and it's in our DNA. When people touch us, sometimes we that closeness and that intimacy might be a little bit too much because of the trauma that's in our DNA. And we have to work through that as much as we can. So if you have to leave your clothes on and just get acupressure to relax, get that. Get whatever you need to get so that we can slowly release this trauma. That's what it's all about, releasing this trauma.
And I'm glad. So we usually focus on women, but I want to bring men up for a reason, because I feel like even more so than Black women not being taught and socialized to rest, Black men are definitely not socialized to self-care, of like meditate, go to the spa with their guys just to hang out, and massage. And a number one thing that I hear is, I don't want no man touching on me. So talk to me about, because you do a lot of sports massaging and working with athletes. So talk to me about like just getting men in general comfortable with massage and working with athletes and just that comfort level.
It's amazing that you're asking it, because I had a client yesterday morning, and she comes twice a month. She's been coming to me for like 3 years. And she's like, you know, she said, I know a lot of guys, John. I always tell them my massage therapist is phenomenal. He's a healer. You need to go see him. And they always say to me, I'm not letting no man touch on me. Right? So I totally get it, because prior to me being a massage therapist, I was the same one. I'm not letting no man touch. That was one of the main reasons I didn't want no massage. I thought a man might walk in the room. So I was like, oh, no. And I ended up having a man work on me for my first massage, and it was the best thing ever. This is the thing. For guys, usually Well, for me, for my business, I let my clients know. When you let them know about me and my business, if they're uncomfortable with the male, I have female therapists also.
Perfect. So that's number one solution.
That's-
Any men listening,
That's the number
it's
one
a woman.
solution.
Okay.
Then the other thing is for men, most of my, and the question that my client asked yesterday morning, do you have more male or female clients? I said, I have more female clients. It's probably 70-30.
Okay.
She said, tell me about your men. I said, most of my men are athletes. If not athletes, they're maybe weekend warriors, or kind of work out a little bit, runners. So they're leading some type of active lifestyle. And the other guys that I have came because their girl convinced them somehow to come.
Right.
Convinced
And
them.
I mean, convinced.
Right. Convinced
like,
them to come.
Yeah.
And then they're like, wow, that was cool. Now I'm going to work on a male totally different than I work on a female. That's just what it is. It's not going to be, because I know men have issues. So it's not going to be as dark. It's probably going to be a little lighter.
Okay. So that's good. Yeah. Talk to me about it.
Yeah. It's not going to be as dark.
Let's get into that. Yeah.
The music is going to be different.
Okay.
I'm not going to hip hop them out. But I'm not gonna have I might have some type of rainforest or something like that going, but I'm not gonna have no love songs or nothing sensual is coming on. Nothing sensual is coming on whatsoever.
And this is all about respecting the fact that some women may be uncomfortable.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. I might have some break beats going,
Okay.
Because when I work with my athletes, it's more up tempo type.
Okay.
Up tempo, it's kind of quick. It's not really like slow and kind of sensuous or slow and relaxing. It's more up tempo, upbeat.
Okay. And is that because of their body type? They're so muscular, or is it just energetically
that's energetically
how it goes?
From what I feel.
Okay.
Now with some men, I get a few men who are totally comfortable. Totally whatsoever. Like I have a guy who's a firefighter, totally comfortable. Like he was referred to somebody else. He does yoga, all this kind of stuff. He said he'd been getting massages for years, and he was referred to another client. So he came. It was no issue. We usually.
But do you think that matters? Like, so for example, my dad gets massages, my brother gets massages, my mom is a physical therapist, my family's in the medical industry. So I don't think my brothers were socialized like. Can't nobody touch me.
That's so. Yeah, it's definitely.
So does that firefighter? You think he was just socialized differently?
I think he was socialized different because he's definitely an Aquarius, so he's different, and he.
That's an inside joke for my brother. He's an Aquarius. Okay, because my brother's a Leo and he has no Aquarius in his chart.
Right.
But I promise you, he acts like an Aquarius. He's such a free spirit, free thinker. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's how this brother is. Like he walks to his own drum beat.
Right. He's not worried about nobody.
He swims with sharks.
I love it. Okay.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff. So
I love that for Black men specifically.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes. Like you don't worry about. Thank you. Yeah.
You have to.
And be actually happy doing whatever. Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay. That was for you. I'm not gonna say your name on the podcast because I don't know if you want to be public, but that is for you, little brother. I was literally teasing him all Thanksgiving. Of like, that's what an Aquarius would say. That's what Aquarius would do. But it was funny that there was no Aquarius on his chart. I'm sure if you were to do a dive, you would find better because I'm just on some app just digging stuff up. But we had a long time talking about that. So we talked about men and being comfortable, and I'm bringing that up just simply because I think women in general are comfortable with the idea of getting massage. I don't really have to, if I do something and say, I'm going to have a massage therapist, I think women would be happy to come. But I'm so glad that you brought that up. And because some women may not be comfortable, but go ahead.
Let me add one more thing. The other thing is chair massage is a great introduction to men. Chair massage. Okay. You're totally clothed. It's not intimate. So that's how a lot of men are introduced to massage. And usually men are more muscular than women, so they need some strength up in there to get into the muscles. They need that kind of stuff. So a lot of times, like when I first got my license, where I started was at Leimert Park. And this was like before they tore the park down up and rebuilt it and did all crazy. The grass was open, the water fountain was going.
Don't even get me started on all of that.
So I would get right up on there on Sunday, art walk, bam, put my chair up, pop my tent up, sit my stuff out, and I would get free massages all Sunday.
What year did you start? Because like I said, I didn't know about you till late.
I got my license in 2014.
Okay.
So 2014, I got my license, and so I was out there every week. So mainly women, but every once in a while I get a guy. And so I remember one guy, older gang banger, like retired type gang banger. He said, "I see you over here giving these massages, brother. I don't usually let men touch me, but I had like some gunshot wounds and this, and have difficulty with my shoulder. I want to know if you can work on me and how much it is." So it's totally free. Wipe down everything, hop on. Now, my instructor told us in school, sometimes you'll work on people and they'll get very emotional.
I was thinking about that when you said what he was dealing with.
The fascia, which is the connective tissue between all the muscles within our body, holds emotion. Right? So as I'm working on the brother, working, doing my thing, he's laying on there and he's like, and he started crying. And he's trying to, and I'm like, "You good, brother? Let it go. You good? You in a safe space." Work on. So
That's
working
beautiful.
on probably like 15 minutes, and he sits up on the table and he was like, "I ain't never felt like that." He said, "I'm seeing colors I ain't never even seen before. Like, damn, like what did you do?" And I was like, "Man, you got a lot of stored up trauma and emotion, man." I was explaining to him the whole process about the emotion. And that's why a lot of that stuff is real important with the body work, the stretching. You know, I have something called a energy reset, which is a massage, a stretch, and Reiki. And it's basically for emotional, spiritual, and physical. You know, it's breaking all that down. The massage is going to be for the physical, the stretching, the emotional, and the Reiki is the spiritual, and it's resetting everything in your body. And that's what basically was going on with him. He was just releasing everything that was off in there. And he apologized to him. I'm like, "You don't got to apologize." He's like, "Man, I'm over here crying and stuff. Like, I don't cry, brother." And I said, "That's the problem. You got to let it out.
Let it go.
You got to let it all out." But this is something that was the first time that ever happened to me. Caught me off guard, but I recall my instructor talking about that. And it's happened other times. It has happened, you know. But yeah, that's kind of how that goes.
I'm glad you're bringing that up because while women are more comfortable, I feel like there are some women that may have some sexual trauma, just religious purity trauma, whatever, where they may not feel comfortable being touched by a man. So I guess for them, you could also offer a female therapist.
Definitely.
But can you talk to me about how you make sure that you maintain a level of professionalism and make your women clients comfortable? Because I think that's important.
Okay.
And before we get into your answer, they got to hear the joke of when I don't know if it's when I first met you, but I was like, "Now you ain't trying to make no side money with the $500 baby oil massages." You remember when that was before COVID? That was so popular, where they would squirt baby oil, and look, the pressure would be like this. Like they were really not doing any. Thank you. They were not giving real massages, and the woman's legs would be like right across their face, and he's massaged, and I'm like, really? $500 a pop. But let's get to the professional part of it. What did you do to make sure that women feel comfortable getting their massage?
Well, when I first have a client and my client is set up, they book, they come to my office. The first time I work on a client, I'm going to make sure it's within a specific time. I have a professional office, front desk, the whole nine. I'm not going to have somebody new come in there at 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night or anything crazy like that. It's going to be either 8 to 4 while everybody's there, security's there, everything, because I want them to know that I am above par with all of my stuff. I don't want no issues. I need my license. Okay? Right. Secondly, I do a spiel, introduce who I am, giving them a little bit about my background, just kind of let them know all about me as a massage therapist, you know, my teaching background in massage therapy. I taught massage therapy for 3 years also. And then once we start the session, I let them know that once they get under, or before they get under, they're going to undress to comfort level. So comfort level is totally up to you. You can keep everything on, you can keep half on, half off, or you can take everything off. But the part of that is the only thing that will be exposed is the area that I'm working on. So I'm working on your back is the only area that's going to be exposed. If I'm working on your leg, that leg is the only thing exposed. Other leg professionally draped, finish with that leg, drape that one, undo the other one, just like that. So you'll never be laying on top of the table like these weird massage therapists with the Crisco or whatever. You'll never be on top of my table like that. And it's not a bed, it's a table. It's not a bed. And I will correct my clients. Oh, get on the bed. It's not a bed.
Right.
Let's get that clear. It's not no bed. Don't tell nobody that. This is a table. So it's totally up to the client. So that's one of the ways I let my clients, to help them feel comfortable.
Right. And once again, I'm not judging because after my divorce, I was this close away from booking a session and not a professional one. A real baby Crisco baby oil session.
No, it's a whole line. That's a thing. I had a brother get at me. Not gonna mention his name, but it's a brother who's kind of a popular massage therapist in Detroit. Because I connect with massage therapists all over the nation, and he hit me up and he was like, "Brother," he sent me one of the videos of somebody doing the Crisco. He's like, "Brother, they making us look bad.
They are making professionals look bad."
And I said, "Hold on, brother," because he was ready to report him. And I said, "Let me tell you, for one, they're not making me look bad because there's nothing on my page that indicates that I do that."
You're right.
I said that's a whole lane, and those women who go there, that's what they're looking for.
Yeah, you're not looking for a professional massage or wellness reset.
You're not looking for that.
You're not.
When I get asked things like that, I get texts like that, I get asked on my phone.
So that's a good. So hold on. Are you saying people are asking you for that service?
People. Okay. And I always respond. Did you see anything on my page that looks like I do that service? Keep looking. Look somewhere else. We're not doing that here. We're not doing that. We taking care of families over here.
Right. It's still, like I said, if you're actually looking for a massage and you look at those videos, they look ridiculous. But once again, our judge is not, sis. But this over here, it's like real energy work, real massage. Like I said, it was the first time I felt blood flowing through my body properly after a serious injury. So but I wanted to bring that joke up because I just know that it's a thing. And I wanted to talk about men and women being comfortable because it's a real thing, like you said, of us actually experiencing trauma. Women in particular get touched against their will all the time.
Right.
Like I had to learn how to stand in the club with my elbow behind my back. I've had to learn how to have like a defensive posture where my friends will tell me like, energetically, like you don't even look like I can approach you. I'm like, I learned to carry myself that way, and I have to learn how to turn it off because I'm just like, I don't want you to be in the club and look like you can come with some bullshit. So I feel like if someone's getting a massage, that is something that you want to make sure that you feel safe,
right.
Whether you're a man or a woman, because let's be honest, men can get touched against their will as well. So it's like you want to make sure that everyone feels very comfortable. On your table. I wanted to switch gears a little bit because we've been talking about like energy work and stuff like that. And so I want to talk to you because another thing that made your services interesting is you ran a lot of astrology specials.
Right.
And I don't know if you were talking about astrology or not at that time, but I just remember being like, okay, this is fun. This is my birthday. Make sure you get a discount, whatever. So just kind of talk to us about like how that plays a role in your life and your business.
Okay, so the astrology special. Okay, let me go back further. How astrology even comes into play with me is I'm a third generation astrologer. My mom is a master astrologer. My grandmother was a master astrologer. My great uncle, master astrologer.
Okay.
Great uncle, he just transitioned this year, a little earlier this year. And my grandmother transitioned when I was very young, closer to 5 years old. But I have her diaries and all kind of astrology glyphs in there, and it's interesting that if I didn't know how to read the glyphs, I wouldn't be able to read her diary. So I feel like she left it for me, you know. So it's very, very interesting, all the way to the day that she was murdered. She was murdered, actually. So my mom taught me astrology young, and I always talk to people when I do classes, and I let people know. I said, for me, because I'm 50. Astrology was not as popular
at
as
all.
It is now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was like living in a house that was bilingual. Like your parents spoke Spanish, but you speak English and Spanish. You go out and you just speak English, but you know Spanish too.
Right.
You know, it was kind of like being bilingual. And when I go out and speak the astrology stuff, people are like, huh? Like, what are you talking about? Huh?
And this would have been like as a teenager, as a young adult, because I feel like astrology got popular
middle school,
the last 10 years, 15 years. Like, when did you notice like mainstream everyone?
Middle school. I graduated in 1992. So middle school, it's late 80s.
And you talking to people about astrology. They're like,
talking to kids about astrology.
Do they even know
other kids about astrology? You don't know about this. You don't know about Mercury. You don't know about Hermes. You don't know about
you deep.
Tahuti. You know what I'm saying?
Do they even know that? Do they even know their sign? Like whether you're a Scorpio or a Cancer?
Some
they even
did,
know that?
but most of them didn't. And we would talk about that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And the teachers would know. That was a thing. And they're like, "What do you know about that?" Oh, like my mom. You know, my mom. And
so you were asking regular people your age, 13, 14-year-olds, deep questions.
But when I started getting treated kind of weird for it, I kind of backed off.
Yeah, middle school is the meanest.
Yeah, I kind of left it alone a little bit, but it was still something that was in my life because it was in total consumed my home. You know, it totally consumed my home. You know, the people who my mom dealt with, my uncles and all that were totally into that. They're heavily Afrocentric too. So, you know, I'm getting taught about culture and the movement and all of this type of stuff in the same time. So how I really, really got deep in it, and then people also ask, like, how did you learn? When I was at home or I would like get in trouble, I didn't have like a TV in my room. I had like a radio in my room. My mom would make me draw the glyphs. So
what is a glyph for people that are not?
A glyph is like the Aries symbol. It's like, you know, or like you know, the bull symbol of Taurus. She made me draw the glyphs, you know, and write down what they mean. Then she made me draw like the glyph of the planet. Like, so the Venus planet is like circle. It looks like a cross with a circle on the top.
I've never heard about glyphs of planets. I know that the planets are the houses. You talked to me about like the houses and the planets rule certain houses.
So the zodiac signs have glyphs and the planets have glyphs.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, they have glyphs. So that's why we will read it. Like, for example, Neptune is in Aries right now. So if I look on a chart, I'm going to see the glyph of Neptune. Then up under it, I'm going to see the Aries symbol. And then I'm going to see a number. And that number is what degrees it is. And it's 30 degrees in each sign. So when it goes those 30 degrees, it goes to the next zodiac sign. And it goes in zodiacal order all the way around. But each planet moves at a different speed. So that's the whole thing. With the moon moving the fastest. The moon is in Scorpio right now, by the way. Scorpio.
I'm a Scorpio.
But I really got seriously into it because before I graduated high school, I knew how to read the glyphs, knew how to read an ephemeris. Ephemeris is a book that you can go in and basically, if you give me your birthday, I can look on the day you were born and I look across, I can see where the sun is, where the moon is, where Mercury is, where, so forth and so on. I can see your whole lineup and kind of see the indication of the energy. Like, for example, if I'm looking at Mercury, this is going to be your thinking, your cognitive, how you're speaking or whatever. So if you got Mercury in Aries, I know that you're a direct person, you're a blunt person, you're fiery in your speech, you might be loud, you might be quick in your speech, you know, certain
Mercury in Aries. Yeah, Mercury is not connected to your love. Oh no, Venus is your
Venus
love.
Is love. Venus is love. Mars is action.
So
before I went away to college, I went to Grambling State University, Grambling Tigers, HBCU. When I went away to Grambling, I had my ephemeris book, and this is when I seen how real astrology was. I had my roommates, you know, Grambling, they had us like we was in jail, 2 people to a room, you know, bunked up, And all of my roommates, I got all their information, and I used to read what everything was for what sign they were and all the planets. And I used to watch and observe.
So they weren't asking you to read them or nothing? Okay.
They weren't asking me to read them. Okay. I was just watching. This was like scientific observation, because that's how we learn. We observe. And I was really observing like, like I grew up in it, but when you see it, nobody can tell you that this isn't true when you see something. Somebody can tell you something, but when you see it for yourself, it was like, whoa. So as a young man, I used it for my benefit of talking to women. I'm not even going to front. Like, that's what I really did. Like, oh, she's going to like me, or oh, she's like this, or that type of stuff.
You would use it to adjust how to navigate dating?
How to navigate, yes.
Interesting.
How to navigate. Yes, definitely.
Interesting.
Definitely. That's how we use it. When I talk to a lot
I'm gonna ask you, did you date any Scorpios, any mysterious Scorpios? Because I feel like they would try to mask.
I definitely dated Scorpios because of how my chart is set up. I get along great with Scorpios.
Okay.
I have Scorpio in my 5th house. So the 5th house is the house of love, creativity, dating, sex, casual sex. See, the 5th house is casual sex. 8th house is like bonded sex. 8th house is the Scorpio house too, by the way. But I have Scorpio sitting on my 5th house. So depending on whatever your rising sign you have, it's going to sit on a different type of house. So I always bond good with Scorpios. I've dated quite a few Scorpios.
I only ask because by nature we're very mysterious.
Yeah, and I love that.
I don't trust it. Even if you're right, we ain't going to tell you you're right. So that's why.
And astrology will teach me that to date a Scorpio, you got to be kind of mysterious. Because Scorpio is like mysteriousness. You got to be kind of mysterious a little bit. It's like a
balance between being mysterious and obviously transparency, because
they want to know too. Y'all want to dig up. Y'all want to what is it? Y'all want to know for sure.
Okay. So you used it today, girls. How did you use it, like maybe in business or friendships? Because that's what
I'm going to tell you how we use it in business. So, like I said earlier, I had a party production crew.
Okay.
We would throw parties, college parties. Now, this is when I came back from Granville.
Okay. So in LA.
In LA. Mass Confusion Productions. DJ Dents was our DJ too. Very popular DJ. For the Clippers. But so before we do a party, we look at the alignment.
Okay. Y'all wasn't playing. Okay.
Not y'all, it was a crew of us, but me.
Right.
And I second it by running it by my mom.
And you would look to see
I'm looking at the overall lineup for the day, but mainly I'm looking at the moon. The moon is going to judge everybody's emotions for the evening. So, for example, if the moon is in conflict with Mars, not going to party that day because somebody might get shot. If the moon was in conflict with the sun, it's not going to be a good, natural, harmonious vibe between the males and the females.
Interesting.
So
I didn't talk to you before I throw events. Okay.
For sure. It's certain days, you know.
Don't even try.
You got to know. And the thing is, when we talk about astrology, we have to realize that the ancients did this thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago, and they utilized this to know when to grow things. You know what I'm saying? This is how they were able to feed the village, the tribe. Right. This is not going to grow at this time because of how things are rotating. We have to wait to drop that. Certain things grow better at certain times, and that's all from observation of how the planetary movements are and the seasons. Like all of that stuff existed like before the calendar, you know, before the calendar, definitely.
And you're bringing up a good point because I saw a TikTok of this Black woman, very emotional, and she was just like, "How much knowledge have we lost because of racism? Because of people coming in and being like, oh, you're primitive,' and like not understanding that people, like you said, were." I think, was it the homie tribe? One tribe like knew about certain stars that they hadn't discovered yet, so they were calling them primitive, were calling them crazy, and it's like years later they realized like, oh no, they really did know about this star.
The Dogon are real popular about that. The Dogon is cold with it.
Okay.
Oh yes, the doggone hunger is no joke. But and the cold part about it is, just about across the face of the earth, all these ancient tribes, they may have used different names, but we all looking at the same thing.
Right.
So they had their own systems.
Right.
Asians had their own, South America, the Africans, of course, Africa the oldest, everybody had their system.
Right.
So, these Greeks come up in there, they seen what we doing, whatever. Now we look up, Christianity has came, not talking down on no religions or anything, but, for the religious purpose of looking at that, they don't look at that. They say it's devil worship, this and this and that. Where on the other end, these folks are still using this stuff.
Now, can we talk about that?
Yes,
the
they're using this.
I try to tell people, I'm like, even when a police officer kills someone and spills their blood and doesn't handle it properly, these are like state-sanctioned lynchings, and these are also rituals.
Yes.
Right? So that's a diabolical version. But
these are all.
If you look at the
rituals.
Catholic Church, they're using frankincense and myrrh, and they have rituals. And don't get me started on the pedophilia in the church. But there's a lot of rituals that are still happening, while simultaneously telling their congregation that rituals and certain practices are wrong, but they're being done.
They're being done.
I'm so glad you said that. We weren't supposed to go there, but we're going there.
They're being done right in front of our face. And that's the reason why, aside from me doing my practice of astrology, of massage therapy and Reiki, I really want to do something else with astrology. Like I do reads and stuff like that, but I will be doing like astrology reaction videos.
Meaning what though?
Meaning things going on in the world.
Oh, okay.
That everybody sees, and I'm reacting to it. Like how people do a lot of reaction videos. They like show a little video of something going on, and then they give their spin on it. Like I'll give you an example. We had something happen maybe a month ago or so where the military was in an email and they put out some information. And put out, and it was like a huge thing and all this kind of stuff. Okay, so Mercury is retrograde.
It was definitely given that.
Right. Mercury's retrograde. So that's communication. Emails, communication. And it was retrograde in the sign of Aries. What does Aries represent? War, military, police, aggression. That was all military-based stuff.
It was.
So I was like, when I saw it, I said, oh, I need to do the reaction video like right now. Like, so it's certain things that with the reaction video, you can kind of show people what areas this is impacting, what type of things are going on. It could be personally, it can be something huge. It might be some stock market. It might be something going on with the celebrity or that kind of stuff. But just kind of to show people, how the energy works, because you got to see it. I can talk about this star and this conjunction and this opposition, but if I can tell you the energy and also show you some examples of how it's manifesting, because energy is going to manifest. There's no way we can stop energy from manifesting. The great thing about having an astrologer is that an astrologer could assist you with transmuting the energy. So for example, if it's going to rain outside, if you know it's going to rain, you may still get wet, but you're going to take your umbrella. Right. You know what I'm saying? So I'm that astrologer to let you know, hey, on this day, I do predictive astrology. On this day, take your umbrella because it's going to be kind of rough out there. Okay? Right. You'll be prepared, instead of stepping into something unprepared.
So I want to talk about being spiritually sensitive and fear. So I've had dreams that have come true since I can remember. And like it happens to the point where it's scary because all the dreams aren't good. Some of them are bad.
Right.
Sometimes they might involve a celebrity. Like there's one celebrity that I remember they were like in the room with their manager and they were devastated, like devastated and like crying and like, how am I going to, it was a man and he was like, how am I going to get through this? And after that dream, I don't remember how long, because this was years ago, but after that dream, that celebrity went through something that basically like ruined their whole career. They're back making money and doing their thing now, but it was like, literally, like I literally could see like that's whatever I dreamt could potentially have actually happened. I don't know if it happened for real or not.
Right.
But like they would have absolutely been devastated, absolutely been emotional and trying to figure out like how am I going to get through that.
Mm-hmm.
I've had dreams. Another dream I can talk about is I dreamt someone that I know in LA was like about to get married, and found out that the person that they were going to marry had a child. It wasn't a cheating scenario. It was like a situation where the man just didn't know about the child. And it was just like this big struggle, this big issue. But once again, because my dreams come true, I was like, I'm not going to tell these people that I know,
Right.
like about this. Like it was kind of scary to me.
Right.
And
it came true.
But for somebody else.
Right.
It wasn't that couple.
Uh-huh.
It was someone else that I had gone to high school with that actually was like my college roommate.
Oh, wow.
The dream was true for her. Like literally verbatim, they went overseas.
Oh, wow.
The child was born overseas. She was informed or like he was informed about the child overseas before they got married. Like they were engaged to be married.
Right.
He was informed. They went overseas to do the DNA. It actually was his child.
Oh, wow.
And it was just this whole devastation type thing. Because once again, it wasn't a cheating type thing.
Right.
So it's like stuff like that happens to me where, and that's once again why I won't go to someone and say, hey, I had a dream, because I could just be tapping into energy.
Right.
And the faces are of people that I know. The energy and the action is real, but I have the wrong people in the dream, but sometimes I have the right person.
Right.
It's hard when it's someone I'm dating because I don't want to go to someone I'm dating with a dream unless it's like gnawing at my spirit.
Right.
And the fact that it could be true, like it's just, it could be tough because you don't know what you're dealing with, but it also makes my dating life a challenge. So I was going to ask you about that in terms of astrology, but also in terms of doing massage therapy. How is that a challenge in terms of just like enjoying your life and dating? Because I don't want to say it's an advantage, but it is. Like you can engage with people in a certain way because you're used to reading energy, right? And so people that are around you, I don't know if people feel like you're reading them.
I don't think they do.
Okay, but like
I don't think.
Okay.
But I'm not for sure though. But I don't think they do, and I really don't think that because I feel like I don't give off that unless people get me in an intimate setting. Because I'm not gonna say that I'm shy. I'm reserved until the ice is broken. Just in a general social setting, I'm the guy. I'm gonna be chilling. I'm not really gonna say too much. So. I'm just going to be, vibing it all out, observing, really. But in an intimate setting, then a person's going to feel me. They might be able to feel that then. And then the other thing is like, I try, because I work so intimately and closely with people, this is something that I noticed that I did just recently. I try to keep that part turned off where I'm picking up and reading people.
That makes sense.
I try to keep it like a neutral type energy, Even,
because I feel like you could just get overloaded spiritually.
Yeah. Like I got something where I can just even when I look at somebody's chart, my attempt is to look at the chart objectively. As objectively as possible. Okay. Non-relation to anything with me, just a basic looking at the chart, because I look at a lot of charts, and then because I ask for birth dates and birth times when people do their intake with me, and it's so funny. A guy, Cancer brother, cool. So he was feeling what was going on. He did the intake, came in his first time working on him, and he's a guy, so lights are not dimmed or nothing. We kind of
white as this room. I'm joking.
Right. So working, talking, I'm working on his back a little bit. So he all of a sudden randomly said, "So how long you been doing astrology?" And I'm like, because I really don't put it out there like that. It's like if you know, right. Or if you like came to a class or something like that. And I said, all my life, really. And he was like, He said, you're probably wondering how I knew that. And I said, yeah, I am. And he said, when I did the intake, you asked for the birthday. But when you asked for the birth time,
he got suspicious.
He said probably an astrologer.
Right.
And I was like, oh, okay. So for most of my clients, all my intakes, I ask for that, but I don't always look at it. I might look at it if I feel something about the session, like, let me check this person out.
Okay.
You know, sometimes I might be a little nervous about a session or having some anxiety about a session. Like, let me see what I'm gonna be dealing with. Oh, wow, okay. Let me prep myself.
Okay.
That kind of stuff.
But that's why I bring up astrology in terms of fear and relationships and dating, because I guess what I'm trying to ask is, I feel like on the other end of it, like, so for example, my dad's a psychiatrist.
Right.
And lots of my friends would literally come to me and be like, your dad is trying to read me. And he'd be like, no, I'm not. But at the same time, he was.
Right.
Like, he literally, is sad to say, he could be like, your friend was molested. This is going on. Like, he could just see it.
Okay.
And
I see what you're saying.
It made me think about energy and just, my dad told me one story that always stuck with me, and that's probably why I like to walk around looking so mean. He would say certain predators would go into a bar and they would just be looking like
to see who they can.
Yeah, they could identify who had, I guess, some kind of brokenness, some kind of trauma on their spirit, and he would know, like, that's who I'm going after tonight. So not necessarily in a predator format, but in terms of just like dating, I would be more thinking of like, let's say you're dating someone and you're like, well, I want to buy this house, but we should buy it this month. Like, that could be a conflict. Okay. Or I want to go into this business, but we need to start at this point. That could be a conflict. Like, if just the values don't align. So that's what I'm more talking about in terms of just like, or for me, like I said, just being a Scorpio, just feeling like, if I feel like someone's bullshitting me or lying, it's a problem. Right. It doesn't matter if I'm right or wrong. Like, if I just get that feeling, I'm just like, I don't like that I have this feeling. Right. And sometimes people can make me uncomfortable in the most random way. You could do something and I'm just like, I don't know what it is. Maybe you were disrespectful, maybe whatever, but I'm just like, and it could be small. It don't have to be big.
But see, that's your intuition talking, and we have to go with that.
I do.
Yeah,
I have to be like,
and no one should be upset about that. But it's people who don't understand how intuition works, so they might feel a certain kind of way. But we gotta go with our intuition more than anything. It don't matter if we don't see the facts and it don't add up. Go with your intuition. We don't do that enough as our people. But
I agree.
I definitely understand what you're saying in regards to that. Like, for me, I move with the stars. Every day, I'm looking at the stars. I was just telling somebody this the other day. Everything throughout the day, I'm related it to something astrological every day. And it doesn't make me not like, for example, when I traveled to Colombia for my birthday, it wasn't a truly beneficial movement of Jupiter within my chart. Like, some connections with Jupiter wasn't good, and Jupiter has to do with long distance travel. Right. So when I got my ticket, and I don't know how I got my ticket without looking at that, but as it was coming, I kept looking at that, and I was like, oh my goodness, do I even want to go? Like, a little nervous, but I was like, you know what? Everything happens for a reason. The ticket is bought. It's done. Like, fate. That's just what it is. Fate. This is what it is. We riding it out. We're riding that out. But in most things that I do, I move with the stars. And anybody who knows me, like really knows me, knows that about me. Like, everybody who knows that about me, you know. In the dating process, anybody who I've ever dated all my life, they'll tell you that, oh yes, Jaleel, he's moving with the stuff, and you got to move with him with the stars. If you're going to be with him, you got to move with him like that too. If he tells you we're not doing this because Mercury retrograde, then that just is what it is. You're not going to get him to move, you know. And it's just always that. Or if it's like, okay, we moving on this because, you know, Venus is here, Jupiter's here. For example, Venus is in Pisces, probably about to go in Aries. So for me, in my chart, it's going to be in my 10th house, which is my career house, which is how I'm viewed. So for me, I have to push with my business stuff hard because Venus is benefits. So benefits in the business and in career. So I'm pushing hard right now. And a lot of things seem like they're coming about, you know? So that's just how I move. You know, it's it's just what it is for me.
So I bring this up too because I'm just gonna be a little vulnerable and talk about just like my own fear. So I remember reading some astrology. I wish I could remember the website, but the stuff was so accurate that it was kind of creepy. And I don't use the site anymore because I don't want to. There's a part of me that because I already have like intuition and I already have dreams and I already feel like I can feel people's energy. Mm-hmm. There's a part of me that's like, you don't want to like walk around looking for it.
Right.
Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
So the last time I got a massage from you, we spoke about a lot of things, which I won't bring up, but you talked to me about anger arguments and red. Something like that you talked about. And I remember being so uncomfortable. One, because I feel like I have just been arguing a lot. I didn't say that to you that day, but I just felt like I had been arguing a lot anyway. And I was just like, oh my God, right? But there was basically like an argument that I had where I kind of was seeing red, and it just made me think about it. And I was just like, sometimes these things can save your life, because what was happening during that time, I feel like things could have gone really, really left. Like, and not because someone's trying to hurt me or something like that, but because you said those things, which made me uncomfortable. But still, I was smart enough to kind of hold on to it, not look for it, but just kind of, it's in the little back of my mind. When I felt like I was in that situation, I was like, I'm going to exit. And I don't really be exiting arguments because I don't give a damn, but I be ready. But something about what you said just made me be like, you know what? Let's pin this. Let's handle this differently, and let's move differently. But like I said, while it could be a blessing, like I said, sometimes I feel like it just makes me uncomfortable because, like I said, I try to avoid feeling like I'm just like looking for stuff to happen. And so when I was thinking of starting the cannabis business, someone came to me and was like, oh, well, she does everything with astrology and with intention. And she was like, well, what's your birthday and what's your this? And we could figure this out. But I didn't know her and I didn't trust her. I might have told you that, but this was a while ago. I was like, I'm not giving you shit. Or maybe I was just like, hey, I'll give you my birthday, but like, I'm not giving you all this information. And it's the same type of thing. Like, she could have benefited me. I don't know, but if I don't trust you, it doesn't matter. And it's not like I thought she was a bad person. It was just literally like, I don't know you. So for us to have this, I feel like astrology is an intimate type of conversation to have.
It's very much so.
So it's like I have to have a little level of trust with whoever is going to have access to my, I guess maybe it's the Scorpio. You have access to my information.
Yeah, that's definitely
I don't know you like that.
That's definitely. When we were doing the classes, the Kemetic Yoga and Astrology,
let's talk about that.
We were doing, we were teaching Kemetic Yoga and Astrology. Me and Anu, Lauren of the Tree.
Were these monthly, weekly?
These were monthly. So each month we would teach the class based on what season it was. So for example, it's Aries season now. So it was Aries season. We're going to teach about the sign Aries. We're going to teach about the planet related to the sign. That would be Mars. And we're going to teach about the house related to the planet and sign. That would be the first house. So we would go through that, break it down, keywords for each one. At the end, we'd have a list of different celebrities and this type of person who's Aries. So you can kind of vibe out their energy, you know how they are, people who you've been watching over the years. And then we end it with, or actually we start with journal prompts. And so the journal prompts would be how we utilize this energy to help with expression, you know, for whatever season it was. So I'll use Mars, for example. Taking action. A journal prompt might be, what in your life do you need to take action with? Because sometimes, you know, Mars gets a bad rep, but in life we have to take action sometimes. We do. We really have, and Mars is going to make you take action. That's what it does. if it's channeled right. We don't want it to be negative action,
Right,
you know,
right.
shooting at somebody or beating somebody up. But Mars shows in a lot of different ways. And sometimes we'll get a negative expression of Mars because we didn't take action where we were supposed to. So
can you give me an example of what that looks like? Or I don't know if you want to.
Definitely. Inflammation. Inflammation is Mars. So it might be a situation where you're holding a lot of pent up anger. You're holding it. And you need to do something, really. Take a walk, go jogging, whatever physically is good for you. And you don't do it, but you pissed off, you blaming everybody, this and this and that. Now all of a sudden, your knees didn't swole up. You know what I'm saying? Mars was in Capricorn. Capricorn rules the knees. Or it could be in Aquarius, the shins, rules the shin. Or it could be in Pisces, rules the feet. Whatever sign it is, that area might give some inflammation right about that time. So the positive expression helps. Doesn't totally always, but this is one of the best ways to put the energy out. When I say transmute the energy, because the energy is going to express itself. It is coming. So if you know what that energy is about, put yourself in a position where you can express that energy. But we would do the journal prompts. After the journal prompts, Anu will lead with the comedic yoga practice, about 45 minutes to an hour, doing poses based on whatever we were working on. So if it's the sun, it might be Amun Ra. If it was Libra, it might be Mayat. Just kind of depending on what it is. So it'll be poses based on that. After that, we take a break, bathroom break, 420 break, vegan chef break, get some food. We round circle it. We do the part that I said earlier about learning the signs, the planets, the house. And then the last thing is we do QR codes with our phone for an astrology app. Everybody puts their information in, and I would do reads for everybody. Anybody wants to read, they raise their hand. If we're talking about Mars.
In the class.
Okay. And their Mars might be in the 7th house, and they raise their hand, hey, my Mars is in the 7th house. But now, while they're doing that QR code, they have a regular paper, and they have to draw everything out, the glyphs. So I'm teaching them at the same time. They have to draw what Mars looks like. They got to draw all that. So I'm teaching them at the same time. We sat and we figured this out. So people were coming, and they were like really learning stuff. Like I would see them next month. People coming the whole year, getting all of it. So it really made me feel good with that. So a person might have Mars in the 7th. So 7th house, this is going to talk about their partnerships. Could be intimate. Could not be intimate. This talks about legal stuff also, court. This is the scales. This is a Libra house. Your partner, you might attract partners who are very physical. Now this is another thing. I ask people when I see that in their chart, have you ever been in an abusive relationship? And
that's where the reading comes in, because people are like, you ain't my business.
Right. and it's like, and sometimes I have to get to that, like fill them out, and it's so funny. The young lady who I was working with, Lauren, she's so direct with it. She's just saying, girl, was he trying to, I'm going all nice with it. And this, because I'm a man, I feel like I have to move a certain type of way, because we can be known to be a certain way, real abrasive and abrupt. But I might ask somebody that because I see that Mars with their partnership. And sometimes people will say no. No. And then they might come back to me a month later. I thought about it, and I did. I had this guy who was real, but I left out of the situation. How did you know that? And I explained to him the energy of Mars and how it's in the 7th house, but it can manifest in a lot of different ways. This might manifest in legal troubles too, aggression in the courtroom. Well, how do I? So everybody's going to be abusive? No. When you pick that partner, this could be a business partner, Make sure it's somebody who is already doing something where they're putting that energy out.
Yeah.
Somebody who's competitive, somebody who's athletic, maybe somebody who is maybe in a field, military, police, fireman, surgeon.
Put it to good use.
Yeah,
basically.
chef.
Yeah.
You're working with knives and fire. That's Mars. You know, that type of stuff. So we would do like a read, go around circle. People do a read, and that was pretty much how the class went. Comedic yoga and astrology. We'll be having one very soon. I'll be putting it out there because we're talking about getting it back going.
Awesome. Good to know.
Yeah.
The thing that is resonating with me is how much everything is still leading back to massage, because Reiki is an energy practice, but astrology, you're talking about inflammation in certain body parts from just lack of not going or moving the energy a proper way, and that's still going to affect you physically.
Yes. And every zodiac sign has a specific part of the body that it rules. So as I get this information about people, I'm observing.
Okay.
I'm observing if they have any issues in certain body parts and this and this and that. And this is all, that's why I really started getting that, because I wanted to collect that data for myself to see, okay, do we have something here? Can I make a whole new practice, off of this? And I've been watching, and a lot of things correlate.
So if you have a client of a certain, I can't even think, astrological sign,
right?
You could communicate with them in such a way saying, "Oh, are you exercising daily? Because if not, blah 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 blah." Like, I'm trying to figure out like how that would correlate.
How it would correlate.
Like someone's in Mars and they need to release the anger.
So let me think of a way. So since I do massage, I'm more based on muscles, tendons, ligaments, but I kind of do a few other things too, like maybe posture correction and stuff like that. So let me give a good example. So Pisces, feet, right? Person is Pisces, or maybe they have a Pisces rising or moon in Pisces, or a lot of Pisces stuff. I'm going to talk to them about their feet a lot. How's your feet feel? Are you walking? Are your arches, your heels giving you problems, and this and that? And a lot of times it ends up being like they're really having issues in these specific areas. So it's like a targeted practice. It's information that is allowing you to be a better massage therapist, period. And this is where the specials come in too. Like we were saying, the zodiac specials. That was when that instructor said it's kind of intimate. I had the zodiac specials going, so that was
on your Instagram.
On my Instagram. I see a couple other therapists doing them now. I'm not gonna say no names. But y'all know where I started at, though. You know what I'm saying? You can't get no soldier boy massage therapy. You can't get no reading with him. Read with me while you getting your massage.
Okay, let them know it's different over here. Okay,
but like for example, with Aries, like it's Aries season right now. So everybody who's coming in, if they on an Aries birthday situation, they're getting a scalp massage with Aries rules the head. Okay. So you're getting that scalp massage. We about to go into Taurus. Right? So they're gonna get that neck massage. With it, and so forth and so on. That's how it pretty much goes all the way down. In certain areas that you can't really, so you got to work around that. Like Scorpios, y'all rule the sexual organs, but could do Reiki for that. Because that's like the sacral area right on that. So that could be Reiki in there. So you're giving me some good ideas over here. Cancer rules the breast. You can't do that, but I can do Reiki on that. Good
to know. And like you said, think about for how to implement. I want to kind of close off the discussion by bringing it back to something important, because we talk a lot about wellness, but I want to really bring this in for Black women's specifically.
Right.
So earlier we talked about like socialization of massages and how, like I said, in my family it's not strange, but it still wasn't a practice of like how I come and at least once a month try to get a massage from you now. it wasn't something that I like. My mom is doing it now. She'll do her self-care now, but I didn't grow up seeing, like, knowing that my mom was going to the spa once a month and getting a massage once a month. And other cultures, their mom is at the spa once a week.
Yes.
It ain't no once a month thing.
Yes.
It's once a week.
And they're taking their kids. So the kids are learning it too. I've seen it.
So one of the last times I came to get a massage, I was like, oh, I feel fine. But as soon as you touched my shoulders, you were just like, are you sure? I was like, well, because I promise you, I didn't even feel any tension. But as soon as you touched my shoulders, I was like, oh, I guess I am stiff.
Right.
So can you talk to us a little bit about just like the difference that you feel in cultures that have been socialized to rest versus cultures that have not? Like when you start to treat them, and why you're such an advocate for making sure that Black men and Black women are getting massages.
Big difference. So I first noticed this in school. In school, and maybe right when I graduated. Reason I noticed this in school, because the school I went to was a Russian and Asian school. My instructor was Black, but everyone who came in to get massages were Russian or Asian. So for the entire time I was in school, every day I would do 3 massages during our lab period. And it was regularly that I worked on somebody Russian or Asian. No big deal. Once I got licensed, insured, got out there, I'm back to my community because I feel like I learned something that was very important that I need to take back. I'm like the spook that sat by the door. I'm bringing it back to the hood. So I get there to Leimert in different places, but I'm just using Leimert. And when I would touch our shoulders, they felt totally different. Not one person, not 2 persons, just generally, us as a people. When I would go work and do like Marriott, like I would go work on the ladies who clean the rooms, a lot of Latino, Hispanic ladies. We worked on about 70 of them at the Marriott. Same thing. Shoulders, trapezius, rhomboids, all like rocks. So I began to notice that it's a total difference, the way we feel physically and the way others feel. And so I just kind of did my own observation and research on it. And it's coming from stress. It's coming from anxiety. It's coming from trauma. It's coming from all of these things that we deal with daily, that we wake up with, that we continue our day with, that we normalize all day and act like it's nothing, but it's really something. And we're walking around like this with so much stuff Black men and Black women are thinking about, worried about throughout the day, and it stays on our body. They say, I said earlier, the body keeps the score. The body keeps the score. So you can feel what the score is in these shoulders and hips. Hips are another thing. We got to move our hips, y'all. We have to move our hips. We got to stretch them because as we get older, it impacts your back. So when that back is hurting, it's coming from them hips. It's coming from the hip flexors, all of that type of stuff. So I definitely saw a lot with that. And I was even like, man, someone needs to do a study on this because I'd never heard anybody talk about that. And I still don't hear anybody talk about it because it's ethnicity based. So sometimes they don't want to get into it.
They don't. In terms of our medical care, the BMI charts, there's so much stuff where we're not factored in. Kidney, high blood pressure, there's all kinds of sickle cell treatments.
It's crazy. And so I worked at a few different massage parlors, Brentwood, I worked in Massage Envy, different places like that. So they were in Caucasian areas. So I'm working on Caucasian, Persians and this and that all day. It felt totally different. And the other thing, like we said a little earlier, they're bringing their children in. They're bringing their kids in, 12 years old. The parent has to sit in the session. So the parent sits in, lets their daughter or son get a massage, so they're getting them acclimated to getting that self-care, getting that body treatment where they don't feel that it's intrusive, where they don't feel that it's where they understand the necessity of it at a young age. Most of our kids who get this type of treatment are usually athletes. You know, my son was getting massages before I was. He's an athlete, he's a D1 athlete, but he was getting massages in high school. You know, he has an uncle on the other side of the family who's a massage therapist.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but we have to normalize. We got to bring our kids in there. I have clients who bring their kids to me too. You know,
you tell me I need to do that because I'm a parent of an athlete, so I need to get all. She's had like a massage here and there, but like I haven't got her on a schedule or regimen with you.
Right.
And even the other day, she hurt her back, and I just FaceTime my mom because my mom's a physical therapist, and I was like, here's a range of movements that she can do.
Okay.
What do you think is going on? Here's the stretches that she does. Here's the result.
Okay.
And my mom was like, yeah, I think it's a piriformis, and we were just going over some simple routines, and she's already back playing basketball.
Okay.
But I did think about you in that moment of like, because I told her, I was like, I heard LeBron spends like $1 million on taking care of his body.
Yeah.
And he's one of the only athletes that's like been okay.
Right. Look how, you know, he's older than everybody.
Exactly.
And still playing at a high level.
Exactly.
Yeah. And you know, it's the funny thing that one of my clients was working with LeBron on a movie. And I used to see my client and my client's dad. And he was an avid hit. My client's dad is just like, you got to get these massages. So he would make them see me. Right. And so I would ask him about LeBron because, you know, they were doing a movie with LeBron. And he said, man, LeBron's like, I was trying to get my son to stretch, but he treat me like I ain't even LeBron James.
That's true.
He said,
every parent goes
right. Every parent goes through that. He told him, you think I just, I don't go through it because I'm LeBron James? No, I go through it. My son don't want to stretch. He don't want to do nothing. This is when Bronny was in high school.
Okay.
He might be doing it now.
I hope so, because the NBA is different. Yeah.
Yeah, this is when he was in high school. It was so funny to hear that because, yeah, a lot of parents go through it. I still work with that kid too, but you gotta get it in. I think he understands the importance now because he was able to go all through D1 without no injuries. High school, no injuries. 2 times a week. For like 5 years, 5-6 years, 2 times
stretching and everything.
Stretching everything. Yeah, everything.
That's good.
And then sometimes it's strengthening. I found out too. And I didn't know that at first. Sometimes it's just about strengthening a certain area and that'll take away the pain. When that lower back is hurting, sometimes that hip flexor needs to be strengthened. So we have to do little movements just to strengthen in small things, and pain just gets knocked out and goes away. So stretching and strengthening and being consistent.
Yeah, because the second time you helped me was I came back from Mexico and hurt my hip flexor. Didn't know it. It was presenting as sciatica. Went to my chiropractor first before I came to you because I'm like, usually I'll do chiropractor, get like some kind of adjustment. He also does acupuncture. And then I'll come get a massage from you. But what I noticed for the first time when I went to him, he was just like, I don't think it's your sciatica. I'm like, I know I'm in pain. Like, I know something's wrong. He's like, he was going through and doing all these things. He's like, I'm going to treat you. But he was like, I don't think. But he wasn't trying to diagnose. He wasn't having me do all these different range of motions. When I got to you, I was telling my experience. I was like, I was at the chiropractor. He's saying that he doesn't think it's my sciatica. And you were like, okay, cool. And you put me through all these different range of motions. And then you were like, oh, it's your hip flexor. And I remember being like, it hurt so much to do what you were telling me to do. And I was just like, oh my God, I'm gonna keep trying to do it my way. I'm gonna stretch a little bit. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. And probably like for another good week, I was just still in pain. And then after my daughter's birthday, that's when I was like, okay, I trust you. I know you know what you're talking about. Let me figure out how to do it. So I called my mom. I was like, Jaleel told me my hip flexors are messed up, but I'm in pain doing what he's telling me to do. And she was like, well, maybe like Google some videos or something like that. And one of the physical therapists just had me do a slight, like the video just had me do a slight adjustment. Because I think you had told me, you had me like that, you were suggesting that I sit on the wall. But because of the sciatica presenting issues, straightening my leg while sitting straight up, I couldn't even do anything. Like I couldn't even get into the proper position. So just that slight modification of tilting back a little bit, I was able to do all the things you told me to do the same day. I felt better.
Mm.
Now, not 100% perfect,
Right.
but a significant, it hurt like hell to do it that first day.
Right.
My daughter was like, what are you doing? But I felt better. And so
Yeah.
I was just like, there is just power in understanding the
Yeah.
human body. And as you explained it to me, you were like, yeah, my mentor
Right.
was talking to me about core and this and that. And that's why I think that it's got to be what's bothering you.
Right. Right. And I did the same thing that I did with my client, and because I couldn't figure it out, and I was like, he had something very similar, and it was just bugging me when I can't figure something out. It's like, and I'm like, okay, next time you see me, I'm gonna have this right. And went, got online, talked to my mentor, and he was like, oh, have him do this, have him do this, have him do this. Had him do it. A couple of days, he was right. He's like, I feel much better, much better. So trial and error, observation, like with everything, and see how it works.
And experience, like you said, because you had been through it before, you were able to shortcut the process with me of just like, yeah, if this is bothering you and this is not working, then it must be this. The baby old man can't do that, y'all.
Nah, you're not
just want to say for the record.
You're not going to do that at all. Run.
I had a valid thing I wanted to ask, but it's gone out of my mind. So is there anything else you want to talk about or promote as we wrap up the discussion? Because the whole point of this was to encourage us as Black women and Black men to understand the power of wellness. Right. Because it's being stored in our, even when we think, oh, I can't afford it or whatever, it's like you're paying for it in a different way. Like you're going to pay for it. Right. So you might as well invest in your self-care ahead of time and learn ways to manage your stress. And it's really up to you to make out the time and set aside the funds to do it. Yep. So with that understanding, like what are some missions you have to see or to like bring more awareness to the community? Because it's the fact that it's needed is not up for debate. It's needed. Okay. So what it boils down to is values. What do you value? What do you value? See, our values be all over the place, and we're valuing the wrong things. But hey, I can't tell you what to value. You have to look at what's going on in your life and figure out what's going to make you feel better, be better, move better, spiritually better, get better on your purpose. Some people value Jordans. Okay. Some people value purses, and some people value wellness. I have a few clients and they tell me that I really value what you do. So since I started seeing you, I make it a point to put you within my budget because I value what you do and I feel the difference. Now, again, you don't have to come see me. But value wellness and find somebody who you feel comfortable with, because everybody's energy is different. You might like somebody else's energy more than mine. That's fine. It's not an issue. But find out who you resonate with and utilize them for their services and value self-care. And the analogy is also with the body. Our body's like a vehicle. It's like a car, okay? But your car, you're going to take care of it. You're going to put gas in it. You're going to change your oil. You're going to get tune-ups. You're going to get all that. You're going to put sparkly thing. You're going to do everything. But guess what? When that car breaks down, you can buy a new one. You can't buy no new body. You can't do it. You only get one of these. Not the healthy parts. I mean, it's silly.
Not the healthy parts.
You can buy certain body parts, but let's be serious.
Not the healthy parts.
Not the healthy parts.
So when you think of it like that, and you use that analogy, it really makes you, and an elder said that to me a long time ago, and it stuck with me. I was like, ooh, that is so real right there. You only get one body. True. So do your best with it, take care of it. And you should take care of all your other physical, material things better than you take care of your body, as well as massage, reiki, astrology, all that type of stuff. I'm into self-care. I'm not like vegan or anything like that, but I definitely watch what I put in my body. I definitely fast, usually fast 4 times a year.
For how long?
7 to 10 days.
Oh.
Seasonal.
fast.
I do it seasonal on my
Okay.
astrology stuff.
Okay.
I'm experimenting with fasting 2 times a day. That's the new one. 2 times a week. That's what I'm experimenting with now.
Okay.
But even something like that, fasting, that's cleansing out everything that's going on. And you don't have to change what you're eating, just watch what you're putting in there, but you want to push out some of the gook that's been up in there, So we try to do overall wellness, at least talk about it. We want to at least talk about it and make it where it's something that's an important subject in our everyday lives, because we want to be here a long time and we want to be here and have good living while we're here.
Yes, yes. And on one of my first relaunch episodes, me and my girlfriend Sean, we were talking about this concept of, we were talking to each other and we were talking about, you pay every bill in the world. What about your self-care bill?
Right.
We are not socialized, once again, to pay our self-care bill.
Right.
And some of it is not even money. It's, did you go on a walk for an hour or 30 minutes? Like some of us can't make time for an hour. Did you give yourself 30 minutes of sunlight and just walking?
Yeah.
Some of it is meditation. Some of it is, did you go get your hair done, your nails done? Some of it is that too. Did you go to the spa? Did you get a massage?
Right.
But sometimes it's deeper than that. It's, what do you actually like, and are you honoring your spirit? Like by just doing something that you like for an hour out of every day or 1 hour out of every week, because you got to be realistic as you talk.
Right.
But like, are you carving out things that are a part of your self-care? But thank you so much for this discussion. We talked forever. And the funny thing is, we still didn't even cover music, all this other stuff, because there's so many layers to you.
Right.
But I think it was beautiful to see the flow between astrology, reiki, massage, and just the intersectionality of it all, and how it sounds like massage is your true calling.
Sounds like it. Sounds like it could be.
All right, so where can people find you? I'm going to put the information in the tag, but where can people find you? So
you can find me at on Instagram. You can Instagram my name, Jaleel, Jaleel, Gilmore, Gilmore, all one word, Jaleel Gilmore. The name of my company is We Choose Wellness. And you can find me at my website, wechoosewellness.com. And that's about it. Okay. Or you can text me if you want to book an appointment, 323-702-6890. Again, that's 323-702-6890.
Okay, so I'm going to put some graphics on, and I'll make sure that I add that to it. Okay. And I'm Ayodele, the host of MILF Ministry. Thank you guys for tuning in today, and thank you so much for sharing with us.
Thank you.
This was good.
Yes.